right, everybody. Welcome back to yet another installment of Ask PJ Braun here at Blackstone Labs.
Your radio voice is getting so good. You know what you sound like in the Limp Bizkit song when he's like, "All right, partner, keep on rolling, baby." We should play that in the beginning of this. We should edit that in.
What is it? The chocolate flavored
Keep
starfish
on
and
rolling,
hot dog flavored
rolling,
water.
rolling. Is that the album? That's the first one.
Is that it? I don't know.
I don't know if that's their second album or not.
I grew up on that shit though.
Yeah, it was good. That was good shit. That was like when I like first started like smoking weed. That album came out, and I remember it was different because it was like rap rock, you know.
A motherfucking chainsaw. What?
What the fuck do you think Fred Durst is doing now?
Oh, probably like. I was gonna say blowing a lot of hookers, probably. Like if I had to guess. All right. So first question is actually pertaining into something that's happening this weekend. Mm-hmm. It says this is the Super Bowl weekend of the UFC. What are your predictions on these fights? Uriah Hall versus Paulo Costa. Mm-hmm. Michael Chiesa versus Anthony Pettis. Paul Felder versus Mike Perry. Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. Stipe Miocic versus DC. Also, what do you think of Max Holloway being pulled from his second fight in a row? I'll just hand you the list. So
so I'm going to go through each one by one. I should let everybody know that I'll be watching this fight at the Fit Barber's house. Pretty excited about it.
In all the land.
There's going to be some other funny shit that goes down there that I'm not going to talk about on the radio.
We're going to be throwing hundreds.
Throwing hundreds. Big Dick Steve is going to be there. There we go. All right, so to break down the fights, I am going to go with Uriah Hall. I think Anthony Pettis is going to win his fight. I think that Paul Felder is going to win his fight. I cannot go against Ngannou. He's just an absolute beast. He has the hardest punch in the UFC, and I feel like if you get hit with that thing, you're going down. So I'm taking him over Derek Lewis. Like they registered his punch on this machine. It was like in Drago and Rocky when Drago punches the machine and it like
explodes.
Yeah, and it like measures like the pounds per square inch. Like they did that with Ngannou, and no one's ever hit it as hard as him. And like I forget who he fought, who he just crumbled them with one shot. Like he was like an uppercut that caught, and the guy like was just dead immediately. He actually lost his last fight, but he lost because he got submitted and he couldn't land a shot. I do think that he's going to wind up annihilating Derek Lewis. Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier is going to be such a fucking good fight. I'm so excited about it. I can't go against DC. I'm going to go with DC. And what do I think about Max Holloway being pulled from his second fight in a row? Well, I think there's some stuff going on, of course, that I think we don't know about. UFC is really good about keeping their dirty secrets hidden. Like, all these guys wind up getting popped for juice and all kinds of other shit. And, like, for you people to think that they're not doing it, like, the guys that do get popped are just, they're doing something dumb and making them real unlucky. Like, I remember when Sean Shirk got popped, the Muscle Shark was his nickname up until that point, and then I guess he wanted to actually follow the rules, and he came back for his next fight skinny as fuck and got the shit beat out of him. And that's like when people are like, oh, like performance enhancing drugs, like they don't make you better at like certain sports. Like they're not going to make you swing a baseball bat like better. Like they're not going to change Barry Bonds' hand-eye coordination, make him fucking hit. Maybe he'll hit it a little bit farther. But let me tell you something. If you're juiced up and your job is to battle another man in the ring,
and he's not, you're going to win.
Yeah, you're going to win.
You're going to win, boy.
He was undefeated up until that point.
Get that Tren in your blood flow.
That's why I think it's funny when dudes are like, oh, all you bodybuilders can't fight anyway. It's like, motherfucker, let's go and try it out. When you start punching my head and I don't feel any pain,
and every time I hit you feels like a Mack truck.
Yeah, you're gonna question your thoughts on that. So that's my UFC predictions.
All right, so we'll keep it moving right along here. It says, hey, thank you for offering the service of answering any questions I may have on bodybuilding. There were a few questions I would like to get answered to progress of my fitness journey. Number one is, I currently do an ab circuit for 15 to 20 minutes every second day, a few hours before my workout. How consistent should I be training abs, and how long should these sessions be?
Very fucking intense. Jesus, that's a lot. Every second day? So every other day, right?
Right.
I mean, that's more than enough. I mean...
That sounds pretty...
I don't even train abs until I'm pre-contest. And when I'm like 4 to 6 weeks out from a show, I'll basically start like 3 times a week. I'll pick 3 exercises and I'll do giant sets and I'll just fly through it in a matter of like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Number 2 is, when cutting, is there a certain maximum deficit you would recommend?
maximum deficit for calories?
I would assume.
I mean, you'd have to know your basal metabolic rate. This could be a whole long discussion that I don't want to talk about right now. Is there a maximum? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like throw out. You don't want to eat less than 1,000 calories if you want to know something like that. It's just depending on how heavy you are, what your body fat is. There's too many variables for me to answer that question.
Every person's different, and there is definitely a point of deficit that is too much for every individual. It's up to you and your coach to decide what that is for your metabolism.
Like, right now, like Dane is like suffering bad, and he's eating a good amount of food, and so like
his body just needs more.
You know, Sammy was like giving him a hard time, and he was like, I ate this when I was dieting, but I was like, Dane, don't listen to him. He competes at 150 pounds.
Yeah,
he's not going to eat the amount of food that you eat.
He can't.
It's just not possible.
Yeah,
I'm like, so you're suffering in the way that you're suffering, and the way that you're feeling is how you're feeling at those levels of calories and macronutrients, and it's going to be different for everyone. There's just too many variables to just give a blanket answer like that.
Right. So third question is, what supplements would you recommend when cutting to preserve muscle mass? I hope you're able to get time to answer my questions. It would be much appreciated. Thank you, Vincent Nguyen.
Number one best product to preserve muscle mass from Blackstone Labs is Recomp. Fucking outstanding product. I was dieting. I was getting leaner the entire time, not losing weight. So weird. If you want to know about all the anabolic stuff that you can be using that's not able to be purchased at Blackstone Labs, Anavar is very, very good. Winstrol will help you as well. And there's a number of other things that you can answer that correctly with, but
next one,
just stick to the Recomp.
Stick to that Recomp, boy. Is there a way to get rid of Gyno without surgery because I can't afford the surgery?
If there's a hard bump behind your nipple, no. If it's just watery and puffy and fat, you can start taking something like Arimidex or Femara or Aromacin and take it very aggressively and see if it wipes it out all the way, but you're going to probably have to stay on it. And you're probably going to have to get off the shit that you're taking too. So if there's a hard bump there that's developed, the gland's developed, you got to get surgery.
All right, next one is from Lewis. He says, hey, PJ, I have 2 questions. Thanks in advance. My question is about starting a career as a personal trainer, both online and in person. I don't have any professional experience training clients. However, I have been seriously bodybuilding for 4 years, and I'm 22 years old. I've also had 2 really solid coaches who are 212 pros out of World's Gym in San Diego who I've learned a ton from. My question is, how do I go about getting started? Because it seems like you need an Instagram following to do anything these days, and I don't have a big one. So obviously I know I need to focus on that as well. I feel like I really do have a lot to offer clients, but I don't know how to display it. I've wanted to compete and could realistically do well. I feel like that would at least put me on the map to give me some credibility. I'm not trying to compete for a living, though. My goal is to train clients in person with some online clients and build my reputation around that, not some online coach who takes on way too many clients to possibly give personalized plans. How open should I be with PED use with clients? I do have a solid understanding and use really responsible doses from usually farm-grade gear I get prescribed. My next question is, I listen to Andy Frisella a lot, and he talks about companies having sales and how that devalues your company because people will just wait till the sale happens to buy.
I do agree with that.
And you guys do seem to have a lot. What's your perspective on having sales, and what does it do to your brand image? Thank you, Lewis.
All right, so let's start from the top and just break this down piece by piece because there's a lot of questions in here.
So I think it just really comes down to 2, and it's how open should I be with PED use with clients?
I think you need to be as open and as honest as possible and show them who you are, what you're doing to look like how you're doing. Now, you also have to let them know, like, you are not a doctor. You can probably set them up with your doctor. And you're not supposed to prescribe anything or diagnose anybody with conditions that would make them have to take anything pharmaceutical. That's a decision that they need to make on your own, and you should be clear on that because you can't go around just telling everybody to take steroids. That being said, you don't want to be faking jacks, as LL Cool J would say. Don't try to be something that you're not, and try to be like, I'm natural when you're taking gear.
Everybody's natty, all your competitors.
No one likes that, and no one respects that. So that's why I'm very, very open with what I do, and I've been told numerous times to be very careful with what I say. However, I'm trying to help people not screw themselves up, which is why I am as open as I am about these steroids. And I do think that you're going to, number one, you're going to get more respect and you're going to get more people believing you. But number 2, you're going to just get more clients anyway because everyone wants to know about that stuff. There's going to be people that want to know about it that aren't going to do it. They're just curious. And then there's going to be people that are going to be like, look, I want to look like you. This is what you're doing. Teach me how to do it the right way. And again, you're not supposed to prescribe anything to anybody, but you can offer them knowledge, especially from personal experience. And I think that that's the best way to handle that.
And the other question was, what's your perspective on having sales and what does it do to your brand image?
Yeah, so Andy Although a lot of what he says is absolutely ridiculous, and a lot of it is an act. He's very, very, very brilliant marketing machine, and he is absolutely right. To have numbers of big sales like that absolutely devalue your brand. So when me and Aaron split up, one of the big things that I shut down is Aaron every month did an end of the month sale. Every month. There's end of the month sale. Buy everything from Blackstone Labs, 30% off. And me and him would fight so bad about that. Because I'm like, bro, everyone knows that we do these end of the month sales every month, and no one orders until the end of the month. We have these shitty ass months that come down to do or die at the end. And then we're like, oh, thank God we just made, $200,000, $300,000 in the past 48 hours. And then nobody buys anything again. And, you've trained people to be prepared for that. I'm like, you can't do that. I'm like, you don't see... Porsche isn't going to be like, hey, we're running an end-of-the-month sale this month on all the 911s. Like, when you've got something that's got a high value, you keep that shit there, and people are going to buy it no matter what. So we got rid of the end-of-the-month sales. What we do offer, and this is much, much different, is we offer athlete discount code flash sales. And we do like 4 different sales with the athletes a month. Now, here's the thing. That is not devaluing our brand. What that's actually doing is putting value on the athletes. And it's a great gauge to see how important they really are, how important your ambassadors are. When you run hey, we're going to do tomorrow a 30% off athlete flash sale, use your athlete's favorite code. Well, there's a lot of people that are following that athlete. They're going to see it and be like, oh, shit, I love Queen Reem, and she's got 30% off with her code tomorrow on Blackstone Labs. Like, I'm going to buy the stuff that she says to take. And for a company that's where you're going to really see your value, in your people, because you're hoping that these people, when they put something out like that, are going to drive a lot of attention to you. And if they're not, that says a lot about them and their following not being as organically strong as you want. So that's a much, much different kind of sale than just a random sale for the sake of having a sale.
All right, next one says, hello, PJ. The question is, while taking a low dose of Tren A, 50 milligrams every other day, how much test milligram and which test should you stack with it weekly and daily, and how often? Is there a recommended PCT or estro blocker to take during and after? Thank you.
I always like Cypionate the most, and I think with that dose, you can run anywhere from, you could probably run as low as 200 milligrams a week, fine. You absolutely want to have the testosterone there, though. Like, a lot of people are like, run Tren with no test. It's stupid. You always want to have the test in. Test is best, and test is what your body is producing anyway. So you don't want to take out what your body is producing. Even if it's coming from an exogenous source like that, you still want to always have the testosterone present. So you can go 200 milligrams, you can go 400 milligrams, you can go 600 milligrams. There's not a really wrong answer to that one. It's just a matter of how aggressive you're going to be with your androgen. But you should always base everything around the testosterone. So if you're going to cycle in D-bol, or you're going to cycle in Anavar, or whatever, you always base it around the testosterone no matter what.
And
if the questions about the aromatase inhibitors and stuff like that, I like Arimidex the most. It works the fastest. It's maybe not the strongest. Aromatase is very, very strong. And if you take Aromatase every day for a couple of weeks, it's going to definitely wreck any kind of gyno that you have. But it's also going to make you feel very tired and crappy and possibly affect your sex drive and increase your risk of injury. Whereas Arimidex, you can keep in like a milligram every other day and really protect yourself. And then if you're running Tren, there's a good chance that you'll need to run some Caber with it, which I never did when I was competing, ever. And then I actually wound up doing some for the first Beat PJ. And I was like, damn, Caber makes a really big difference. It also makes you blow a lot of loads, which is something that I think is important to talk about. I actually believe that a lot of people in the porn industry are taking Caber for what it does in that regard. You'll blow bigger volumes of semen, and you'll be able to actually have sex more often, more frequently. I never, ever used that when I was competing. It's it's very interesting the way it works, but it works specifically with products like Tren. DECA. Yeah.
Anything that's going to increase your prolactin.
Yes. Anything that's going to increase your prolactin, which you can actually get bad gyno from. Like, I've seen people that are like, dude, I don't understand. I'm just running DECA or I'm running Tren. I'm getting really bad gyno and I'm taking Arimidex every day. Well, that's an aromatase inhibitor that you're taking to block aromatase conversion, and you're not doing anything to stop prolactin. And there's things that can convert into progesterone too that can cause gyno. So the caber will help you in that sense with the Tren for sure.
However, one thing I do want to add to that is I see on Instagram a lot of people talking about absolutely fucking retarded caber doses. Just do your research, people. Like, this is actually a drug that they prescribe for Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And taking too much caber is actually very dangerous.
What have you seen them taking?
I've seen people talking about, like, taking 3+ milligrams a week of caber. You know, I don't know if they're doing that because they're taking so much Tren or what it is, but like,
how much you would have to take,
if you look online, it says something like anything past like 3 or like 3.5 milligrams a week or something is like really bad for your heart and like.
Yeah. So when I do it, I've only done it 3 times, and I've messed around with my doses, and I've done between 0.25 and 0.5 milligrams twice a week. So that would be half a milligram to 1 milligram a week.
Yeah, I've done 1 milligram a week before.
Yeah, it's in a week. So and I
honestly,
do it. I
think 1 milligram a week is a little bit much.
Honestly, don't know that it was better for me than doing the 0.25 twice a week.
I really think the 0.25 is. I think half a week is really all you need.
You know why I noticed it so much? Because I jerk off every morning.
Right.
And so if you're being consistent like that, like I notice.
You notice volume.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, I'm blowing huge ass loads, and I just don't blow big loads.
Like, fill this 16-ounce bottle easily.
I think a lot of guys that do. There's 2 things that are going to affect your loads considerably. One is whatever juice you're taking, and 2 is the amount of times that you're actually releasing the fucking semen out. So for me, I no matter what jerk off every morning, and then if I'm having sex on top of that, that's more volume coming out. So like when I was doing it every day, like I'm looking at myself jerking off every day. I know what's coming out. I was surprised, like, damn, like there's way more volume.
Right.
And that's how you know.
Yeah, that's how I always knew that it was working. Next question is from the old homie Mike Peskin. And he says, Adrenal Care is a newer product. Can you discuss the actions and benefits?
All right, so 3:45. Okay, I like that.
We're flying, baby.
So we're doing fast. We got a bunch of guests coming here today, guys. So I'm trying to move as fast as I can. We got Sammy Bornstein, little Sammy Be Fit. She said she just texted me saying she's coming in at 3:45, so that's good. We got 20 more minutes before she gets here.
We got 7 more questions.
We got Chandra Bagwell coming in. Let's see what's her ETA. I think Karen might be here. Yeah. I heard girls' voices out there.
Yeah.
Your ETA. Just bear with me, guys. I'm just making sure we don't screw the podcast up. All right. So we got 7 more questions to go.
Yep. And
so that means we did, if I'm correct, we've done 7 already, right?
Something like that.
Because I believe there was 3 questions yesterday, and we got 11 more today, I think.
Let's see. 6.
Okay, not bad. We're moving. So we're basically halfway done. What's the next one?
Can you please explain the actions
Adrenal
of
Care. Okay, so I'm going to give you the important bullet points on Adrenal Care. There's 2 ways that this product will really help you. Way number 1, are you just using a lot of stimulants? Are you taking pre-workouts every day? Are you taking fat burners? Are you drinking a lot of coffee or drinking Monsters? If you're taking a lot of stimulants, there's a good chance that you have adrenal fatigue in some way. It doesn't mean you have an adrenal shutdown, but you probably have adrenal fatigue where these things are not working as good as they used to. So you can take this product actually with them and cycle yourself down off of them, and you'll respond a lot better, a lot faster. Now, you can also just cold turkey stop taking that shit, which is going to be rough, but if you're taking the Adrenal Care, you'll bounce back very fast. You'll bounce back within a month. Now, the other way to do it, and which is why I actually take this every day, I take double the dose twice a day, and I'll explain why. When you're very stressed, which I fucking am, that's for damn sure, and you have got a high amount of stress in your life, it does a number on your cortisol levels, and the stress hormones that your adrenals control, they kind of get like haywire. And so because of that, you'll get softer, you'll get more water retention, you won't sleep as good. There's all these negative things that come from that. And so I take the Adrenal Care to try to get rid of all that stuff, and it does actually make a big difference. I've actually been staying leaner because of it. So if you're in a high stress situation, it will absolutely help combat those stress hormones, and that's a reason why I think that like everyone can benefit from Adrenal Care, not just people that are like, oh, I take a lot of stims.
All right. Next question also comes from homie Mike. He says, can you discuss the proper way to reverse diet? Currently in week 8 of a 15-week diet and want to have a good plan to reverse out. Started at 238, currently at 216. Goal is to level out at 200 to 205. Respectfully, Mike Peskin.
So this is something I think is extremely important. And there's so many right ways to do this, and there's also so many wrong ways to do this. So it's hard because I don't know enough variables about the individual. Although I do know Mike Peskin, I could ask him. But here's like a general rule of thumb. If you've spent 10 weeks dieting down, the goal is to get to where you were 10 weeks ago. Where you were when you started, whatever you were eating, the goal is to get back to that the most efficient way possible. And realistically, if you want just a general rule of thumb, if you did it slow and steady over 10 weeks back the other way, you'd probably reverse yourself back up to where you were when you started and stay leaner. So what I always did was I actually worked no matter who signed up with me. I had them, no matter what, and it wasn't because I was trying to get more money, I had them commit to doing 6 weeks post-show no matter what. Because in those 6 weeks, I knew that I could get them on the right path to not screw themselves up and reverse diet their way out. And then after those 6 weeks, I was like, you're through the worst of it. So I'm like, look, just continue with the same protocol that we were doing and just go from there. You'll figure out what to do after 6 weeks of slowly reverse dieting. So let's just say we started out with 250 grams of carbs, 100 grams of fat, and I don't know, let's say 150 grams of protein. What you're going to want to do is slowly get yourself back up to those numbers. So if the protein's already there, you don't even need to increase it. You've already got your protein requirements met. If your fat has gotten down to half of that, well, over the next 6 weeks or so, you're going to slowly increase the fat, slow and steady, each week until you get back up to that point again. You don't want to do it all in one shot. You want to keep slowly introducing it. You'll do the same thing with carbs. Just slowly introduce it so that your body keeps, adjusting and acclimating to what you're doing rather than just saying, hey, here's everything I was eating before and throw your system off. And I can answer that way more in depth, but I feel like I could do a whole friggin' show on that. So just use that general guideline I said, and you'll be okay.
We may have to do a whole friggin' show on that.
We could, because honestly, when I was coaching, one of the things that I spent a lot of my time doing was fixing girls that fucked up their metabolisms. Sorry for my language. And fixing shit that, like Kim Odo, I think that he is a bad coach, and what he does with a lot of these girls is dangerous. Come at me, Kim. So a lot of these girls would tell me that he wouldn't even friggin' coach them after the show. So it's like, dude, a lot of these girls, it's very simple to figure out why they crash so bad. It's like, yo, you went from doing 2 hours of cardio and taking T3 and taking Nolvadex and doing all this and training every day to cutting out your cardio, taking a week off to eat and be fat.
Eating cheesecake.
Yeah, like, what do you think is going to friggin' happen? You can't do that.
I can
do that. You can't, like, run your gas in your car at super high octane fuel on a fucking racetrack every day, and then all of a sudden be like, yo, we're going to put lawnmower fluid in there and just run that shit hard and see what happens. Like, it's just not going to work out. Your car's going to break.
What's going to happen is it ain't going to start.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what you're doing that to your body, man. So, like I said, we probably should do a whole show on this.
Yeah.
Those guidelines, though, are good guidelines.
All right. Next question says, let's try again. Can you elaborate on the time Aaron Singerman did a show and almost killed himself by drinking alcohol after the show and spending a few days in the hospital with his electrolytes all messed up?
All right. So what he did was, and just, I'm going to answer this, but I want to read this text from one of the girls first. All right. So
next question.
All right,
or what? No, you knew Aaron Singerman almost killing himself. Low electrolytes. Showtime.
All right, so this is what Aaron did. He did a bunch of diazide, which is pretty common for guys to do diazide. I believe he did Palumbo's protocol, which is basically like a half of a diazide, like 4 times. But then he went out and tried to get hammered after the show. I mean, you are so friggin' dehydrated and your electrolytes are so fucked up. Why would you add something in that's going to dehydrate you way, way, way worse? So I don't remember what he was drinking. He used to drink vodka all the time, but he tried to say that he was allergic. He actually even lied to me on this one, and I was his best friend, that he was allergic to diazide. He didn't realize that he had an allergy to diazide. He was allergic to diazide, and that's why he had such a bad reaction that put him in the hospital. And then the funny thing is there's pictures of him drinking beers. That's the funniest thing about it. It's like, oh, you're not allergic to those beers that you had.
But Blue Moon is okay.
Yeah, like those pictures are out there still. So moral of the story is, I don't know how much you want me to actually talk on this where it even matters. It's just like, hey, don't also drink alcohol when you're friggin' severely dehydrated and taking things to dehydrate you more after a fucking show.
Yeah, if you already look like a skeleton and then you go out and take things that kill people that look healthy, you're probably gonna die.
It's like, dude, that kid has changed so much over the years. Like, he used to be, like, in many ways, like, borderline retarded, and that's just something that, like, who the fuck does that, right? Like, even if you're somebody that parties a lot, you're gonna know in your head, you know what, man, I'm just not gonna party after my show.
Pump the brakes.
I'm gonna pump the brakes a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're going to feel like fucking shit after the show. You're tired. The main thing that you're going to need is food. You're going to get your food in your body, and then you're going to probably want to sleep because you're not used to eating that food.
Day after my show, the next day was Sunday. I went to Sunfest, walked around in the sun drinking alcohol. After like one drink, I was hammered. My friends were like, "You want more drinks?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to die if I have another drink."
Did the same thing. I did USA's, and I stayed at the Hard Rock Hotel, and the next day I did the pool party.
Of course.
And I had a few drinks, and I was like fucking banged up, man.
You get wasted so fast.
In the sun, too. Yeah. Like, that's what the same thing Aaron did. He was like out in the sun and shit.
Next question comes from Legion member Slouch to Fit.
Slouch to Fit.
He says, is too much cardio bad? What splits are the most beneficial to the body? Thanks, Chris.
Anything in too much is bad. So, I mean, whatever your goals are.
Too much water will drown you.
Yeah, like, that is true. So, like, there are actually people that have died from water. There's a lot of people, this is crazy, that will do, like, Molly or, like, bootleg Molly. And they actually think that they die from the Molly. But what actually happens, there's people that have died, is that they're out dancing and shit, and they're just hammering down water, and they wind up drinking so much fucking water that you actually throw your electrolyte balance off, and your heart can stop. And you're not taking Molly and just dying from that, although you can absolutely die from taking drugs, of course. That's actually what typically happens to those type of people. They're fucking dancing all night, and they're essentially drowning themselves in water, which is crazy.
So, and then what splits are the most beneficial to the body?
So I like to do 2 splits a day. So I don't like to do more than 45 minutes in the session, although you can do an hour if you're doing low intensity. I like 1 low intensity session and 1 hit session. The low intensity session is what I usually do on an empty stomach fasted. Get up, boom, I'm going to do like 45 minutes, maybe an hour of just steady state on a treadmill. And then the hit session I like to do typically post-workout.
This one's great. This one comes from Fluff Daddy. Says, my Lord PJ, I'm on TRT, 200 milligrams test sip a week. 250 IU HCG 3 times a week, 0.5 Arimidex every day because EOD wasn't enough to combat my estrogen conversion. About 4 to 5 weeks ago, I began noticing constant acne on my shoulders. They're not all juicy poppers, just small bumps. About 3 weeks ago, I started peeing blood and blood clots at the end of urination. Some small like the tip of a ballpoint pen and some large like the end of an Expo dry erase marker. It hurt to push them out. A normal person would have immediately gone to the emergency room, but since I don't have insurance and I'm too cheap to pay hospital bills, that was out of the question. I basically rested for a few days and it ran its course and went away. My question is, I've been researching the acne and blood in the urine and traced it back to possibly being DHT related. Elevated DHT causes benign prostatic hyperplasia, aka enlarged or swollen prostate, which causes UTI or inflamed prostate, which causes blood in my urine. The elevated DHT would also explain my constant shoulder acne. My thought is that because my E2 came back on at 60, almost 60 on 0.5 Arimidex every other day, that most of the test I'm shooting is converting to DHT and estrogen. I'm waiting on blood work results to see what my free test is to confirm my hypothesis. In the event that I am right, what would you recommend to combat the DHT conversion? P.S. Thankfully, I still have all of my hair. Also, if it pleases the crown, I might get a copy of the women's weight loss plan from the Beat PJ for my girlfriend. I've had really good success with the men's diet so far, and that got her interested in shaping up as well. Thank you in advance, my lord. Fluff. Holy shit, first off.
Yeah, like you just laid me out on that one.
Jesus.
Pee
and blood.
I don't even know what to say other than I feel like he knows the answers to his question. But what is the main question here? Because my brain hurts from that one.
Waiting on blood work results to see what my free test is to confirm my hypothesis.
Yeah, I mean, your hypothesis sounds accurate to me, but you're going to have to get the blood work. I was thinking that as he was going along. Your hypothesis seems right, but you don't know until you get blood work.
So in the event that it is right, what would you recommend to combat DHT conversion?
Saw palmetto will actually help quite a bit, believe it or not.
Is Saul Palmetto going to be enough to help this dude if DHT conversion is really throwing his body off like this? Like, is Saul Palmetto even going to put a dent in that?
No, I mean medically they're going to have to do something for you.
Yeah, I would think like your doctor would be able to tell you, man. Like
there are definitely things that you can do. They're probably going to put you on Propecia, finasteride.
Right, and that's going to make you lose your hair.
Yes. So that's your option with DHT conversion is the finasteride. So outside of that, you're going to. So,
dude, you got to take care of yourself. You can't be pissing blood and not going to the ER, man.
That is scary shit.
I mean,
dude.
fucking dude,
Let me tell you something. I've always been, I've been crazy in my life, and I've done crazy ass shit, but I've always been super cautious when anything weird would happen to my body.
Yeah,
And there was one time I had a little bit of blood in my semen. not my urine. And that actually is fairly common. It was weird. Freaked me the fuck out. It's actually fairly common. I remember being like, oh my God.
Oh man, this is it. It's going to fall off.
Let me jerk off again and see if it happens a second time.
Here it goes.
And it turns out that can actually happen just from damaging some blood cells.
I damage the brain cells in my head all the time. That's gotta do. No, man, but like I'll never forget when I was a kid. One time, my dad had an extensive car collection, and he kept his Mustang that he loved in the garage very much, right where he would tell me to park the dirt bike. Okay. And one time, he was like, "If that dirt bike ever falls and it's gonna touch the paint on my Mustang, you throw yourself in front of it because you are gonna heal, but my Mustang will not."
Dude, a little pimp status right there.
Wow.
I got a message.
Wowzers.
I got a message to my dad. It's my dad's boy.
He's killing it. But yeah, so don't be like my dad. Take care of yourself, man. Like, hospital was a hospital bills. If you're bleeding from your dick,
for
it's
real.
Serious.
Yeah, go to the goddamn.
Go get some help, man. So the next one says, if you were to create BSL from the ground up today, what would you do differently, if anything?
I mean, I don't know that I would do anything differently. I probably would have kept the SARMs going and stayed the course with that. I would have fought the lawsuit that I had, and I would have won because Adrenal Labs won, and they were able to sell SARMs a lot longer than me, and I missed out on a lot of money with that. But outside of that, I'm pretty happy about everything that I've done in this industry. And I like to think I'm pretty cutting edge, and I've done things a lot faster than a lot of other people. So I don't know. I have a pretty awesome life. And although it's been extremely frustrating to be the president of Blackstone Labs since the FDA raid, I make considerably less money. And there's potential, of course, for me to like go to jail over that stuff. I don't believe that I will because I know that I didn't do anything wrong. I don't think that I would not do any of the products that I did. Everything that I did was always compliant.
I would say, if anything, maybe you would pick your partners differently, but in the end, in the long run, still, everything happened the way it did, and it is the way it is now because it went that way at that time.
Yep.
All right, next question says, what is going on, Lord Braun and Josh? I wanted to know what new Supps are coming out. I know you mentioned something about Equalizer and an IGF-1 supplement coming out. I just wanted to know more about anything new. I know it's kind of a shitty question because it could still be a year or two, but being Blackstone for life, it'll give me something to look forward to. Also, what are your positions on using a weightlifting belt for squats and deadlifts? I used to use one a long time ago, but stopped. I could always lift heavier with it on, but is it okay to sacrifice core strength for numbers? Thank you so much, question. Blackstone Labs and PJ Braun Labs. Loyalty is everything,
Fuck
Benny.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions. The belt one, I'm very, very, very adamant about this. I do not think that you should use a belt for anything unless you're doing something that you cannot do 5 times. If you're at that high risk of like, I don't even know if I can do this 4 or 5 times, that means you're using a weight that could really send your body in the wrong direction. So if you're squatting with something that you have on your back and to yourself, you're like, man, I don't know if I can actually stand back up after like 3 or 4 reps with this, by all means put on a belt because you could go down. Same thing with a deadlift. If you're going to be pick something up that you don't know that you're going to be able to pick up 3 or 4 times, and you're bending over to pick that shit up, yes, put on a belt. For everything else, do not wear a belt because you absolutely will sacrifice your core strength. And one thing that I found is that I believe that wearing no belt is actually part of the reason why I have no distension in my stomach and why my stomach stayed flat and tight, because you train your core to have the right, what's the word that I want to use? You train your core to be like taut and tight and pulled in when you don't use a belt. When you use a belt, you slouch into it, you breathe heavy into it, and you train those muscles to just relax out on the belt. And it's just a thing where psychologically, if you have a belt on, you're going to slouch your stomach into it. That's just the way it is. If you don't have a belt on, you're going to be way more aware of your breathing. And this is going to work like the rectus abdominis and the little muscles on the inside, your transverse abdominis, the muscles that are almost like a girdle on the inside holding you in. You're only going to work those numbers. You're almost only going to work those muscles by hitting the right numbers of breathing on reps without a belt. If you're just slouching into a belt, you're never going to even work those muscles the right way.
So basically, I think the best thing you could do would be like, for the honing your skill and actually going through your working sets, you should not use it. But if you're going to do like a nasty grinder set that you want to get your numbers up for, have a belt in your bag for like the last set of a fucking exercise or something like that.
That's how you do it perfectly. And you don't need a belt, guys, to do like bicep curls and shit like that. Like anything that
If
you're
you need
doing,
a belt to do bicep curls or gloves, just leave.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen guys curling like heavy, like 135, even 185 in the gym.
Now, when I was on prep, there was a lot of times where I felt like wearing the belt throughout specific workouts keep my stomach, tight, almost like a trainer.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that actually believe that, and there is theory behind it. But my whole thing is that belt is only keeping your lower abdomen pulled in, and that if you wanted to really focus on keeping everything pulled in, those like waist trainers are better for you because they're cinching your entire waist up.
Right.
So,
all right, we're going down to the last question.
Really?
Which comes from none other than
we're honestly we're pretty close to where I wanted to be.
Ziggy man.
I'm pretty peace. I put his last because I know his is gonna fucking be long. Excuse my language.
Ziggy man. Says hi, brother PJ and Coach Josh.
He wants to have a phone call.
He says this is your favorite person in the world. Bother PJ. You recently went to Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Fabian had a similar position that he now has in Blackstone, but in a different company. I've seen He Who Shall Not Be Named go to India Expos. My question is, why? USA middle class is rich upper class in comparison to many of these developing countries, and your products are worth more than every cent, but expensive to said middle class. Why not focus on Canada, Europe, and Down Under? I think there are one or two supplement companies whose USA sales represent only a fraction of their sales. But could that be a sign of them now going as far as said market can go? I'm very curious. Being that I'm not in the USA, I see every company in every country wanting to get into the USA, with a few exceptions like DHL, which is minuscule there. Why does no one talk about China? Is getting supplements into the second biggest economy too hard? Second question.
How many Jack Chinese guys do you know?
I mean, I think I've seen like one on IG.
Yeah,
and Jared, I know, but like he's American.
Yep.
But
oh shit, man.
Second question. Who have you learned business from? Musical artists can say they've learned their trade from Michael Jackson, Elvis, James Brown. Who have you learned your business trade from, and what would you ask them if you could? I learned more from MJ than anyone else in my trade. Thank you. I'm very thankful that you answer our silly questions. Hopefully girl and man behind girl man persona will have the opportunity to talk to you soon. Lots of love to you.
All right, so let's go down. There's a few questions here, so let me figure this out. For starters, why am I going to Mexico or any of those other companies is I want to have Blackstone Labs strong in every single country. So that's the plan. That's Fabian's job is Latin America. My dad's doing a lot with the UK. I found out that I'm going to be going to Thailand. I found out that I'm going to Kuwait. As far as China goes, although it is a monstrous economy, statistically, a lot of them are not working out and taking supplements. And from what I understand, there's a very small amount of supplements being sold out there. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be there and we don't want to be there, because we do. It just hasn't been something that we've been able to crack into or has been presented to us yet. These countries in Latin America, they're like ridiculously into bodybuilding. I mean, if you look at the video that MD Latino put up of that show, I mean, if any of you guys haven't looked at it, look at the show and the caliber of bodybuilder and classic bodybuilder that was at the show. Those guys were amazing. I mean, it was truly, truly tough for the judges to pick the pro card. I picked the pro card guy out in weigh-ins. The dude was a freak show. He's going to be a really good 212 pro, like right away. And there was all these other great athletes there as well. I mean, it's just a booming market, and they're using supplements. So that's part of the reason why we're focused there first. I'm going to pull over real quick. I have a special guest, and I'm only bringing her in to to F with the podcast because I know you guys love her so much. Coach K is here.
What's up, everybody? I'm feeling this pink shirt, PJ.
Thank you. I wore this because I knew that the ladies were going to be in here today, talking to the microphone.
Very nice. The V-neck.
Are we evaluating you today?
I actually had that one on today and decided against it, and I'm really happy I did.
I can't really see you in pink.
I mean, I look pretty good in pink.
Did you have this one on today?
Yeah, I did. I had it on and took it out.
Wow. I want to see the twinning effect. You should have.
It would have been.
Why don't you guys coordinate?
Well, we coordinate, but we just do no clothes when we coordinate.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, it's always birthday
We had
suits.
we were swimming in the pool together the other night.
Birthday suit Sundays.
Salty in the pool.
Birthday suit Sundays.
Yours was good?
So am I looking at you today?
No.
All right.
Fourth was
You
great.
have hair day, too.
Me?
You're just on point.
Thank you.
Every day is a good
I
hair
had
day.
no hair gel in my hair yesterday, and all the girls like it better.
With no gel?
Yeah, it's the most interesting thing. You might have seen me with no gel before.
I was gonna tell you the poof. I've told you before the poof look is good.
Yeah, like all the girls are like, oh my god, you look so cute with your hair like that. This is what they were saying. They're like, you look softer.
Yeah, well, when
Like
it's
that.
fluffed out, you look more luscious. That's what it is.
Luscious.
Yep.
it's my hair sticks stayed up when there's no gel in it. The whole thing poofs up.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to show you. I have some videos on my
Yeah,
phone.
make sure you let.
All right, so I answered the first part of the question.
We're going global.
Going global, so that's why we're doing that. Obviously, we would like to be in China.
So that's why we're doing
And
that.
the second question is, who have you learned business from? Well, it certainly wasn't Michael Jackson like you. Who have I learned business from? To be honest, I've figured a lot out on my own. I have my own philosophies and reasonings behind things that I do. Also was a business major in college before I switched to exercise physiology, and I did pay attention in school. So this might sound really, really silly, but I've figured out a lot of the things that I want to figure out about like sales and business and marketing from some of the movies that I really enjoyed, like Boiler Room, Glengarry Glen Ross, which I made everybody watch the other day, Wolf of Wall Street. Like I've pulled parts out of a lot of these movies that made a lot of sense to me, and I've utilized them in my own way in the business world. Now, another thing is my grandpa he wasn't like a specific business owner. My grandpa worked for Hughes and he worked for NASA. He actually helped design the Hubble Space Telescope. He's been on Yahoo News. He was a manager of a large team of about 30 people, different engineers. And one of the things that my grandpa taught me that I always use in business to this day is my grandpa would tell me that he has guys that will at 4 o'clock in the morning leave their house to go do something for him no matter what, because he always made them feel that they were extremely important. He made them feel like family, and he took care of them, and it made them want to not let him down. And so my grandpa taught me young to always really respect the people that you work with, because you're going to be in a better position if they respect you and don't want to let you down versus if they're scared of you. And me and Aaron Singerman, we had a lot of fights over this, because I'll give you a perfect example, actually, was David, who's now the vice president of this company. Aaron's position with David and with Thomas, who I loved, that's no longer here, was we're going to pay them very low salaries, but we're going to incentivize the fuck out of them. And if they're what we want them to be, they're going to bust their ass because they're going to want to hit those incentives so bad. And it's going to be good for them if they hit the incentives, and then we win. There's no risk in it for us. He's like, it's a do or die situation. You perform or you lose. Now, I had already known that David had brought a lot to the fucking table, and I've always said to people that I think that David is a genius. I also thought, this is hilarious, that Thomas was actually the bigger genius at the time, but Thomas was just completely out of his mind.
Evil genius.
He was an evil genius. So I was like, dude, I want these guys no matter what. I think that they're geniuses. They've done so much for us behind the scenes. What I would like to do is offer them really, really good, strong paying positions so they feel so proud of where they're at that they're so appreciative that they don't want to let us down. And we do this as a team, not as tyrants. And Aaron was like, that'll never work. People will take advantage of that. And I was like, I think that you're wrong. And we had a lot of battles about it. And the funny thing is, David and Thomas actually friggin' propositioned us. And they were like, they basically came to us. They did our work for us. And they were like, we would like to leave our job and come work for you guys. And so when they did, Aaron made them 2 offers. One was the offer with the incentive. The other one was the conservative one. Is David around right now?
Not sure.
Can you see if you can grab David for me? Tell him fucking immediately, too, by the way, please. Thank you. I don't remember what he took, to be honest with you. But Aaron used to get mad when I would tell people to take the guarantee. I did it with Gorilla Chemist. He got so fucking mad at me because basically Gorilla Chemist was making like 75 grand or something like that, where he was at a good, comfortable job. He probably could have stayed there forever, but he was bored as hell. So Aaron was like, look, you're bored where you're at right now. You come here, I'm going to give you a quarter less salary, but I'm going to give you the chance to make big-ass commission. Now, he then said, if that scares you, I'll pay you the same salary. We'll match what you're doing, but you're not going to make as big a commission. And he was really torn on what to do. I told him, I go, dude, take the sure thing right now because we don't know what the hell is going to happen with your products. We don't even know if we're going to design something good. I believe in you. I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a royalty on the stuff that you sell. And he wound up going for that. And Aaron was like, what the fuck did you do that for? You screwed up everything. Now we have to pay him more. And I was like, why do you want to like put people in that position? You know, we're bringing them on. We're hiring them because we believe in them. So the reason that I brought you in, David. Yep. So when I told the story of like Aaron and I wanted to hire you and Thomas, and you guys made the job easy for us, but you guys came and basically presented yourselves to us, and we were like, wow, that's funny. We actually wanted to hire them anyway. So there was 2 offers made to you guys.
Yeah, I remember them exactly.
So you can hold on. Let me get you in the microphone because
I have the email. Do you want me to read it?
you do. Okay, so this is great. This is quality stuff. How many years ago is this?
4 years.
This is 4 years ago. We were sitting in my here. We're gonna close the show out with this too. Stats. I fucking love stats. Excuse my language. So
The last time I heard somebody talk about stats is when Lewis lost the food eating competition, and he's like, "No, I play for stats." And we were like, "Yeah, you lost. That's those are the stats. You just took an L."
That was a good memory.
I play for the stats. Yeah, remember that you lost this one. Write it down in the stat book.
That was a funny day. They were eating fucking French fries, right?
No, I think that was the Taco Bell day.
Oh, it was the Taco Bell day. By the way, I think I would have wrecked the Taco Bell day because I can eat a lot of that shit.
We can still do that, bro.
I'll do another one. I'm back to eating. Back then was when I was like starving myself all the
So
time.
August 24th, 2014.
August 24th, 2014.
Hey guys, I'm on the beach with the fam, so here's the counter offer. I had put in an offer.
Okay, so this is typical Aaron Singerman shenanigans. David and Thomas came to us, sat us down to talk to us. We already wanted to hire them. This is important to know. Like, Aaron was like, do not fucking tell them that we want to hire them. And I was like, but we do. Like, we're calling them every day.
But we do.
Asking for fucking help. And I was like, I don't wish that these guys just worked for us. I knew that we were their number one people that they were working for. Yep. And then David told me what they were getting paid at Sticky Webs, and I couldn't fucking believe it. So, God, keep on swearing. Excuse my language.
That was my mistake, by the way.
It was David's mistake for telling us that because Aaron saw that shit. He was like a great white shark, and that was the blood in the water.
Weakness, but
so
we were getting paid very low, above minimum wage, but it was laughable wage, right? We would have made more in Home Depot or something.
Yeah, they would have.
So it was our mistake to let you guys know that, but it's just whatever we did. So when you guys were interested, we actually asked to get paid like the high 60s a year. Mm-hmm. Which was high on purpose because I figured you guys would counteroffer. And again, I have no knowledge of you and Aaron as people at this point, really very little. But Aaron comes back with a counteroffer of $4K a month or $3K a month plus 4% commission on all sales on Amazon.
So Aaron's original offer was going to be $4K a month, right?
Yep.
And I thought that was pretty solid. I was like, that's pretty solid. Like we didn't know going into it that they were going to even present it to us, right? So I had told Aaron. I was like, on their initial conversation with us, I was like, let's just give them $5K a month. So that's $60,000 a year. I'm like, let's just do it. Fuck negotiations. I don't want to start out on bad terms with them. I want them to be happy about what they're doing. And then his response to me saying that was this offer of, what is this offer here? On the beach with the fam, which is hilarious, because it was probably at the fucking Boca Resort with the other rich people. Which, for the record, I would like to state, I'm sorry if this offends all the people that hang out there. I went there with him one time and said I would never, ever go again. And he said, why? And I said, because I hate hanging out with these rich fucks. And by the way, Coach K hung out there for the 4th of July instead of coming to my house, for the record. And it's funny because I said to her, have fun with all those rich fucks. We're going to be doing poor people shit at my house. And so he was probably sitting, getting drinks served to him at the Boca Beach Resort when he was doing this with his family, which was basically them. They could be drowning in the water and he wouldn't pay attention. He was busy trying to make his money, and so his offer was $3K a month and 4% commission on all sales. This will also include benefits very soon, which we always wanted to give our guys benefits. And then the other one was
or just 4K a month.
Just 4K a month.
So how we looked at it, because I knew we weren't going to get in the mid-60s. I just was trying to start high and go low.
Did you know what our numbers were at the time?
Yes, because I saw the back. Well, no, I didn't know your wholesale numbers.
But you knew because you guys saw the website stuff.
Correct. So we were at worst going to take $36 a year anyway, because that was so much more than we were currently getting paid.
Which is so crazy for these guys who are geniuses.
Because we were like desperate to get out of there. But when you came back with $48K, my family told me I'd be stupid not to take $48K. But Thomas, and I think he was right, and I would do it again just because me and Thomas really believed in ourselves, even though it was probably a dumb decision. We actually took the commission because we believe, because you guys weren't on Amazon really at all, and we knew we could make it explode.
Yes, that was Thomas's main job that he never fucking did.
Until I got banned like 6 months later.
Yeah.
Well, when it did, you guys actually did the right
Here's
thing.
our game plan. Oh, wait, nope, fuck.
Part, I mean, it was, I don't want to be really careful with my words here. You can be more.
Yes,
verbal
I
with
don't
your
care if he
words.
tries to sue me.
But aggressive to go with the 36 in the commission because he was probably willing to pay $60K if you really push for it, right?
Yes.
So he's like, well, I got him for half, and I mean that's sort of what Aaron does.
Yeah.
So
Fast forward now, Dave's balling out hard driving an RS7.
sure.
Well, his position has changed considerably since then. With Aaron Suriman as the CEO, which, by the way, I've told this story on the radio before. To be an actual true CEO, there has to be a board of executive officers that you're like, ruling over.
That you're a chief over.
That you're
Yeah.
a chief of?
And there was never anyone. It was just me and Aaron, and we would randomly ask people for advice. The reason that he was the CEO and I was the president is because when we went to fill out the paperwork for the LLC, they were like, you guys can't both be owners. Like, one of you can be the president, one of you can be the CEO, but you have to pick different titles. And so he, in the only time pretty much in his life, was like, what do you want to do? Ask me what I want to do first. And I've told this story on the radio, and in fact, somebody actually got this for me for my desk, which I think is really cute. I visualized myself with like a big, awesome, like man desk, like a big mahogany, rich desk with my feet up on the desk and the little, what's called a placard that said President PJ Braun. And I was like, I visualized it in my head, and I was like, I want to be the fucking president. And he goes, fuck! I wanted to be the president. I'm like, why'd you ask me first? Now I definitely want to be the president. So he was CEO by default and didn't even want to be. So there was always funny comments from people that were like, well, Aaron's the CEO and not PJ, so he must make the decisions. Like, no. Actually, he was just the guy on paperwork that got the default setting.
And I just wanted the word president because it looks better on the placard.
Yeah. That's it. That's the true
Quick
story.
aside to the story, when I got the offer, the first thing I did was I emailed it to Zach Catanzaro.
What did Zach say to do?
He had me go meet with Ira.
Yeah, Zach's
Actually.
conservative. I always sent you to the money guy. I'm using Ira now. Shout
Because
out
of my
to Ira.
current, which again, in hindsight, was just ignorance, the non-compete, which had me not being able to work in Florida for 5 years after. Just couldn't work
I
in
remember
Florida.
that, and I was like, just take that off. That part was really funny because I didn't know that was written in there. So Aaron put a non-compete that said they could not work in Florida for 5 years if they stopped working for us. So the big thing, though, was the main thing that they were going to make their commission on, is a huge big deal, was Amazon, and we got banned from Amazon for life. So that was going to wreck their commission. And then I don't remember what happened after that.
It was actually really big turning point, like what we wanted to do for the future, because you pulled us down in the office randomly and essentially just gave us the other salary. Like, there was no.
Did we both
review
do it?
time or anything. I believe you were both there. I don't remember who initiated the conversation.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't. But you were the one that was speaking in the office. I remember that.
He was probably mad.
We were sort of shocked because, like, a deal's a deal, and I don't know if it was you or him or both of you, but the deal was made. You guys stepped up and did something you didn't have to do. You guys did the right thing. So.
Well, I have from day one. This is not to suck my own dick, although I probably would try if I could.
Just get a rib removed, I think.
Yeah, Ron Jeremy can do that. It's weird.
What a
though.
guy.
It's kind of weird though. You're still sucking a dick.
What a
even though
guy.
it's him. That's a whole other episode. So I felt like if you had somebody like that had their heart set on achieving this goal, and now you made it impossible for them to do it, that's like very wrong. I feel like that's extremely bad karma. I remember telling him that. And Aaron was like, his main thing was we have to find much other things for them to do. But I actually didn't want to be on Amazon. I fucking hated Amazon. They were causing me so much headaches. And if you remember back then, I was calling people every day trying to get them off of Amazon. And I was trying to figure out how people were getting us on Amazon. And then the main person that was complaining was Steve from Natural Body.
Yep.
Was I can't compete with Amazon. It was fucking up his purchase orders. So I had a guy, Matt Rossi, whose job was to figure out all this shit. And honestly, every day, I had the Adam Harper debacle. He was screwing us up on Amazon. And then finally, when I found out that we were off Amazon, I was like, I guarantee that our web sales are going to go way up from this. And they did. They actually went up a lot, and they never turned back. So, although Amazon is great because people want to buy supplements and a garden hose and a fucking cabinet for their TV in the same day, that's fucking cool. That's great. I like to do shit like that too. It's very, very difficult when you're a small business owner to realize, like, damn, there's people that are selling my products for way cheaper than I want to sell them for, and I don't even know how they got them. Because everyone else is looking at that like, well, how is Amazon selling it this cheap? Why don't I get that deal? And that stuff can really hurt you. And so us not having to deal with that at all was extremely beneficial. Now, years later, Amazon has kind of changed and evolved into where they can do their own fulfillment now, which David actually met with them about potentially allowing them, as long as they sell it at our prices, to sell on Amazon, because there are people that are going to want to buy a toothbrush and deodorant and some Blackstone Labs in the same day and not want that hassle. So there is a benefit and reason for us to try to get ourselves on there. And
brands have much more control now. It's worth it.
yeah, it's much different now. It's believe it or not, as you know, Amazon is, I assume, the biggest retail website that there is. Believe it or not, even as much as 5 or 6 years ago, which isn't a long time in the grand scheme of things, Amazon was like very primitively run back then. It was like a free-for-all. And so there's a lot more rules and stuff like that go into it now. I honestly, me and Aaron had much different opinions on this as well. Is I wanted everybody to only be able to get Blackstone Labs on the website. I never wanted to be more than that. And now I know that I was kind of pigeonholing myself. And my whole thing was, I'm going to have very limited overhead, and I'm going to have very, very high margins, and I'm very cool with making, X amount of dollars no matter what for the rest of my life. And I will tell you now, and I will tell any other person that's looking to get into this industry, be very careful for what you wish for, because Aaron wanted to be the biggest company in the world. And now we are considerably bigger than we were back then, and I am making considerably less money. And I'll tell you who taught me about this was the guys that run Ronnie Coleman Nutrition. He was like, our third year, we did 2 million. He's like, our fourth year, we did like 9 or 10 million. He was like, in the year that we did 2 million, he's like, I made almost $1 million. He's like, the year that we did almost 10 million, he goes, I made 200,000. And I was like, oh my God, that's terrible.
It's a shitty fucking deal.
and guess what? Guess who that happened to? Me. So
That's a shitty deal, bud.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I'm telling you right now, and this is not to like act like I don't do good anymore or make anybody think differently than me, but in 2016, I made more than I've made in the past 2 years in a row by more than double. And so, the company's done a lot of cool things since then. I don't regret anything. I've been able to give a lot of awesome people jobs and opportunities to, I believe, do this for a long time, which maybe when we were doing it the other way, we wouldn't have been around for a long time. So you have to take all these things into consideration. Okay, well, maybe I'll make a tenth of the money I was, but I'll make it for fucking the next 20 years, guaranteed. So it's much different. But bringing David in, he probably at the time, knowing that you're going to get that commission and the potential for what that commission could be, like, you don't know if Blackstone Labs is going to be around forever.
Right.
No one knew in the beginning. Where now, he's on a consistent salary, and I know he believes like me, like, we're going to be doing this forever. Like, we don't do anything that we do now to not be doing it permanently. We're past the cusp of like, okay, you're the cool brand now, and you're past that. We're into friggin' year 6 and going on 7. And so now we're looking at this as like, what are we going to be doing where in year 15 and 20, we're all living good life still,
Yeah.
None of us want to start over at this point. Not that we're old guys, but.
And I mean, we also are doing things now that we weren't doing before that is, in the long run, investments for the future.
And there are definitely dudes here that are not going to be with us forever, and that's not because they're not doing a good job. It's just they're at different points in their life, and this is probably a stepping stone for them.
In fact, I don't know if you've heard, but Gravy Baby put in his 2 weeks today.
That changes some things that are going on.
He got a big medical offer.
He got an offer in his field that he's been going to school for.
Good for him. He's a good kid. We've had other kids that had other opportunities too. I mean, Ryan Niesky went and friggin' started his own thing,
but he's still going to do demos for us on a weekend because everybody loves that.
From what I understand, Ryan Niesky's doing really good.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
So I know people. It's funny.
He's in Italy right now.
I know people from the Kava bar that are good friends with him.
Yeah.
And they say that store is killing it, and that he's actually making more money than he even expected to.
Every time I've ever gone by there, that place is packed.
It's
Absolutely
so funny
jam-packed.
because when he told us that was his idea, he was really cocky about it too. And in my head, I was like, stupid idea.
It's not gonna work.
Because I don't know shit about that world. I was like, stupid idea. Good luck, dude. And
you're like your cardboard cards.
He was so cocky about it. He was like, I don't need any money anyway, so I'm just following my passion. And one of the things they said was him being here made him want to follow his passion, which is awesome. And so he's doing really, really good. So there are certain people here that are going to be that way. But then there's people like my dad, David, you, Eric, where we're like, yo, man, we're trying to fucking do this shit for forever. So
we run this shit till the wheels fall.
Yeah, for real. So there's
You're going to be looking at this ugly mug on this 4K camera at least until 5K comes out and we get a new one. I'll tell you that right now.
We're going to be talking about like ARP and stuff on here eventually. So
my mashed potatoes today were pretty good.
Now we're done now anyway. So thank you, David, for coming in and clarifying.
The biggest online retailer is actually Gyno jeans.
No way.
It's not.
Don't fuck.
I used to wear Gyno jeans. They're back. Hey, the fucking champion came back.
They're back with a vengeance now. So we will close this out like we do always with you guys, and that's with a peace out bye.